the Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.
Hello, everyone. I am Sophia Melonē, the Debt Demolisher, here to bring you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you manage your financial baggage the right way. I am super excited to be before you guys for yet another live stream night as we continue our conversations around the one, the only wealth choice. Today is a new day, and we are here. I want to thank you guys for being here on tonight. I want to thank you guys for joining into the room. If you are able to make it inside of the room, I do know that I had indicated that our live stream was not going to occur today, but it's still early. And I said, why not? I said, why not continue the conversation? Why not put in the work? Why not still show up by any means necessary? By any means necessary, this needs to come forward. So I know it's late. Some of y'all may not be tuning in, but hopefully you'll be able to catch the replay. But we're going to jump into this word because we are now on day 6 of the wealth choice. Welcome to day 6, and we're going to be talking about the power of ownership and the power of hard work, and how it has a correlation and relationship to your wealth. Let me pop out the chat. I think I'm seeing some folks in the building, and I'm kind of surprised. I am kind of surprised because I literally just said, no, we finna go live. We finna go live. So I see that you guys are here. Thank y'all so much for being here. Lisa Smiles is in the building saying, hey, so good to see you, Lisa Smiles. So glad that you're here. Smiles Tribe, stand up all the way. And your live was so good this morning. Well, I think you shot it this morning, but I didn't see it until around 5 o'clock. But that was really good about tenderheadedness. And you gave some really great tips on how to help parents kind of manage their children with tender heads and helping them ease the pain so that way they can be able to get their hair done. So good live today. You gave some good tips. Acacia is also in the building saying, greetings, DDTV family. Hey, Acacia, so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. I am so glad that you are here tonight. Hey, Acacia. Go, Acacia. Hey, Acacia. Go, Acacia. Let's go. All right, Lisa H is in the building. Queen Lisa saying, hello, Sophia. Hey, Queen Lisa, so good to see you. I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope that you've been having a good week. I realize that today is Wednesday, so yes, I know that you've been in class and you've been doing your work, so I hope that your week has been going well, and I'm so glad that you're here and that you made it here on tonight. Coach Root is also in the building saying hello to everyone. Hello, Coach Root, so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. I'm so glad that you are here. Lisa Smile says, my so-so is here. Praise God, y'all. Let me tell y'all something. Sometimes things happen, but you got to be able to be there. You got to be able to prioritize what's important to you. You have to be able to prioritize what's important to you. And so I had to make an executive decision in the moment to say, no, this is what I'm going to do right now. This is what I'm going to do right now. And it was the best 3.5 hours that occurred. And that was necessary in the moment. So super excited. All right, y'all. Everything is good. Thank y'all so much. I know it was abrupt, but it was literally at 5 minutes before, and I was like, okay, so that's everything is fine though. But thank you. I appreciate it. All right, this is prime for the West Side, is what Lisa Smiles is saying. That's right, all the West Coast in the building. It is good time for them, 7 o'clock their time, 10 o'clock Eastern. All right, so I know it's late, so I'm not going to keep you guys too long. So I want us to really jump into this conversation and I wanted to speak a little bit through the power of today's reading. And the power of today's reading, and it reminded me too, how we have to be willing to decide. We have to be willing to make the decisions around how we are going to choose to show up, how we are going to choose to work, how we are going to choose the things that we do, and how we align that thing to maintain ownership. So speaking from more than one aspect, we're just going to start from page 51 about the story around Tyler Perry. So Tyler Perry, I'm sure you guys have heard the story a lot. He tells it a lot. If you've listened to any of his interviews, or if you've read any of his books, he talks about his story. And in this book, he talks about the journey that he had to go through to start his studio, to start his production company, to work his way from the trenches, to work his way from household abuse, to work his way from the depths of hurt and pain and trauma, to pursue and go after a dream, to go from heartbreak to heartbreak, scraping up all of his coins, using all of his tax money to pour into these stage plays. And the stage play that he thought was going to be a hit, only 30 people showed up, lost all of his money. And just in the brink when he was getting ready to give up, just in the brink where he was like, all right, I don't want to do this anymore. What happened? He changed his approach. Read it. We read it. He changed his approach. And he had people, pastors, ministers, whoever, singers from the most prominent churches in the area be a part of the play. And with that one small strategic move, sold the house out 8 nights in a row. It was freezing cold that day, the opening night. He was worried. He thought that nobody was going to show up. He even challenged God. Come on. And I think from what he said, not in the book, but just thinking about interviews that I've listened to, where he said that he literally heard the spirit say, shut up and look out the window. And he looked out the window and he see that it's wrapped around the corner, people waiting in the freezing cold to get into this play. Sold it out 8 nights. And it was from that point on, he realized he was up to something. And he continued to press forward. And the most powerful thing was he fought for his ownership. He was very strategic, very strategic. Your wealth is connected to your ownership. Be careful of what you willingly give away in terms of your rights, in terms of your title or claim to whatever said asset is. Read the fine print in these contracts that you may sign up for to make sure that you protect yourself and protect your wealth. He says that the key to longevity in building generational wealth is ownership of the finished product. What is a product that you created? What is a product that you have birthed? What is a product that you have brought into the atmosphere? And do you have full ownership to it? Dr. Dennis Kimbrough says on page 52 that wealthy men and women have found no easy road to prosperity. It takes courage to look beyond obstacles, to see the way over difficulties, to brave opposition, and to allow nothing to swerve you from your course. Allow nothing to swerve you from your course. That means being intentional. That means having a plan. That means having a burning desire around what you set out to fulfill in terms of your mission. An intense desire and concentrated effort to fulfill what you believe to be your mission on earth is something that we should be devoted to on a daily basis. Our wealth actually should be the driver of fulfilling our mission and our life's purpose. I was reading this piece about Toni Morrison where they said that for nearly 20 years, Toni Morrison pressed on with her writing, with her creativity, with her notebooks. She pressed on, being unrecognized and unknown. One of the things that was powerful, and this kind of related to the quote that went up this morning, but on page 54, he says that the marketplace does not demand that you master the world of enterprise, but instead is that you master whatever field you enter in. So if you can think about your field, and it may not have to be tied to your job, it could be tied to your gift, it could be tied to something completely different, but we may be having some tech issues. I don't know what's going on. Let me see. Oh. Okay, I think we still may be live. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep talking because this computer's acting up. Okay. Is anybody still here? I don't want to be talking and then none of this is going. Okay, I think it's spinning, so I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I hope that you can. I hope that you can, but I'm just gonna keep going. All right. So you got to be able to master the field that you're in. So the field that you're in, okay, so it's good on your end. Okay, great. Thank you. I'm seeing them now. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Because I was like, Lord, I don't know what's going on over here. I don't know what's going on over here. Okay. Thank you. Mastering the field that you're in. So even when I think about it from not just my work perspective, but even thinking about what I know, like my gift is per se, mastering that without a doubt. I know there's always room for improvement. There's always things that you can do to better yourself, even as they talk about it in this chapter and they talk about it in our readings, is about self-improvement and how that's the leading characteristic or the leading trait of millionaires across the way. But he basically says that you got to be willing to go greater than your calling. You got to be willing to go to the bottom of your business. You got to be willing to not to look at anything as too small. You got to be willing to master every detail. That's a powerful thing. And a lot of times when you go through that state, it requires you to have a level of thinking. So before you can become a millionaire, you must learn to think like one. That was the quote of the morning. So when you even think about that quote, what are some things that you believe, or maybe that you've heard, or maybe that you can pick up based on listening to interviews, reading biographies, that millionaires do in terms of how they think? This is one of the reasons why they said that a lot of successful people, they are readers, because they are picking up information, they are learning new information. And if you digest it in a way, it will help you with your form of thinking. I find it very interesting because even when I'm reading, I get so many new ideas, and I write stuff in the margins. I write stuff in the notes. I write stuff at the bottom of the pages. Sometimes it could be a business name that may pop up. There were plenty of times while we were reading Abundance Now, there were ideas that popped in my head, and I just wrote it in the margin, or wrote it at the footer, or wrote it at the header of the page. Even though it may not necessarily be fully related to what we were reading per se, but just by me reading and thinking, something popped in my head and it gave me an idea for me to write down. So the power in us allowing ourselves the space to read, allowing ourselves the space to enter into self-development, to allow ourselves the space to learn something new, it also gives us that quiet time to receive and dissect whatever it is that we're taking in. And it then in turn produces an idea that we may not have never even thought of before. We may not have to take action on it right away, but you never know. You may come back across this book if you're writing in the margins, or you may get something in your journal and you may come across something later on like, oh, wow, I did come up with this, or I did say this, and you may put it into practice at that point. He says a lot in here. I wanted to read this part from page 56. Q Scott is in the building saying, hey, Q Scott, hey, Q Scott, let's go. Hey, Q Scott, hey, Q Scott, let's go. Welcome into the room on tonight. On the bottom of page 56, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough says, if you interview the great legions of failures, those who've neglected to set specific goals or take full advantage of their potential, as well as the opportunities this prosperous country presents, you will find the same sad story, which is the same sad story of poverty and failure. Poverty and failure. It says, who can estimate the value of books that spur our ambition and awaken slumbering possibilities? Every experience offers a lesson for the eye that can see and the mind that can appropriate. Haven't we been instructed, in all thy getting, gain understanding? Hasn't it been written that the Creator sends experience to paint humanity's portraits? You and I were created for growth and development and to reach our full potential. It is the object, the essence of our beings, to possess an ambition to expand larger and more broadly each day, to push the horizon of ignorance a little further away, to become a bit richer in knowledge, a tad wiser, and more of what we were created to be. That is our worthwhile objective. One of the things that was powerful, and I wrote in the margins, message, the daily habit of absorbing information to be used later in life, the reading of books that will inspire and stimulate the greater endeavor, the constant effort of engaging self-improvement is the best type of capital, far more worth than any bank account. I said this in the empowerment presentation that I co-presented when we did it for the National Urban League, the New York Urban League. And we were sharing what our perspectives are in terms of what our definition of generational wealth was. And for me, I said that my definition of generational wealth is not just about the material things, it's about the intellectual property, the intellectual capital. That is what generational wealth means to me, really, because the greatest asset that you can transfer on to somebody else is knowledge, not necessarily the thing, because you can give them the thing, but they may not know what to do with the thing, so it really won't serve them. So the only way that they can know what to do with the thing is that they've been given the knowledge of how to handle the thing. That is the greater difference between closing the generational wealth gap. Because there's been time after time, people receive inheritance, but if you haven't received the knowledge, you won't know how to manage the inheritance. You won't have the emotional capacity to manage the inheritance. So you're going to end up blowing it. You're going to end up selling the assets. You're going to end up doing things that's not going to help that legacy continue to grow because they have not learned that. So it's one thing to leave your legacy, your assets, but do they have the knowledge to manage it? So the greatest asset is proper knowledge. And the only way that you can really instill and share proper knowledge is if you have applied it yourself. Case in point, applied knowledge. Apply what you learn on this channel. Apply what you learn regardless, not even just on this channel. Whatever gem you pick up, apply it. Whatever new thing you figure out, apply it. Test it out. Apply what you learn. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough says that education is not an end, but it is a process. The best educated are those who are always learning, forever observing information from every possible source at every opportunity. Millionaires are exceptional learners. Millionaires are exceptional learners. They learn from everything and everybody. They learn from experience. They learn by doing. They learn from past mistakes as well as the mistakes of others. They learn from associates. They learn from what works and, more importantly, from what does not work. The millionaires in this study focus on personal growth. Millionaires believe that in order to earn more, they must learn more. So if you want to earn more, you got to be willing to learn more. And sometimes that may mean learn something new. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough also says that they view personal growth as the main objective of a life worth living. I've heard Lisa Nichols say this before, that your business can only grow as far as your personal development grows. So your business can only grow as far as you grow. This is why personal development, personal growth is something that is extremely important. It's something that must be prioritized because you have to be willing to constantly work on yourself. Here's an important piece to point out, which kind of ties to what we've been talking about and kind of a lot of what I share on this channel. Knowledge alone will not attract wealth. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power if and when it is organized into definite plans of actions and directed at a definite end. That is equivalent to what? Applying, putting something in motion. In order for you to have organized plans of actions, that means you have to apply, or you're getting ready to apply whatever it is that you've learned. This was a powerful question, and I want to challenge you guys to think about this throughout your days going forward. What can you do with what you know? When I read that, I said to myself, wow, there's so many things that I know, but what have I done with it? What can I do with what I know? And this is going to challenge me to go back and just literally write a laundry list of what I know. What I know. For example, I'm not going to say I'm the best. I'm not going to say that I'm the smartest. I'm not going to say that I'm the most experienced, but I will say that I do have a level of insight when it comes to tax. As a former tax examiner, as a former tax auditor, as a former VITA tax preparer, as a former, I guess you could say, tax preparer. Yeah, I guess you could say tax preparer. I'm very familiar with the tax law. And I know how to stay up to date on when the tax law changes. So when I think about what can I do with what I know, I'm turning my level of information or my level of insight or my level of knowledge in the tax realm, and I'm sharing it bit by bit on the channel to help you all get a different perspective on taxes that you may not necessarily understand. So what I'm doing with what I know is being a source, or really a translator, really, of the tax code, but in a digestible manner. So it's serving people, it's providing a different level of insight, and it may even give some folks additional clarity. I have a whole playlist on tax readiness that I just started this year, backed by the support that shows where that knowledge came from. So what can you do with what you know? Another thing, what do I know? I know how to whip up a spreadsheet like nobody's business. I know how to put some formulas in a spreadsheet like nobody's business. And I know how to make it be automated. All you got to do is plug and drop, and the rest will calculate. I told you guys about a spreadsheet. It was a workbook. I ain't just going to say a spreadsheet because it was a workbook. It had like 12 tabs in it. Custom built workbook from scratch. It was I created a financial decision tree workbook for this client, so that all they had to do was plug in some information, select answers, and it would spit out an output to help them with what they need to think about before making a huge like investment decision or something along those lines. Now, it took me some time to create it. It took me some time to create it. But when I was done with it, I said, man, this is really good. This is really good. What can I do with what I know? I know formulas. I know Excel. I know Google Sheets. I know how to create automations. What can I do with what I know? What can I do with what I know? That's having me think, because I said that this whole workbook could honestly and truthfully be an app. Be an app. Because it was so robust, but it was so clean at the same time. So as long as you put your data in it, the workbook is going to do the rest for you. What can you do with what you know? Again, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough points out on page 58, knowledge that can be utilized, that can be transferred into power, constitutes the only education worthy of thy name. What does that mean? In other words, utilized knowledge is applied knowledge. He says the most prized possession that you can carry from your alma mater is not your degree. No, it is something infinitely more sacred and of greater value. It is your aroused ambition, your discovery of your unique gifts, and limitless possibilities. There's a huge difference between absorbing knowledge and transmuting that information into working capital and power. Now, I will be very honest and share that I never really challenged or really thought about the greatest outcome of the degrees that I've earned. I never looked at it from the perspective that he just shared here about the ambition that aroused in me while I was in school. I had went through some hard times, but I was dedicated. I said I had to finish. I had to finish. And I knew that in order for me to make it career-wise, I knew that I needed, in my time, I needed to get a graduate degree. So as soon as I finished undergrad, I went straight to graduate school. And I was working full-time while I was in graduate school. Not only that, while I was working in graduate school, and this was the semester that I got the 1B, was when my mom had a manic episode. I literally got put out of the house that I was paying the mortgage on. And because I was old and of age, meaning above 18, and my mom called the police on me saying that I wasn't her child and that she wanted me out, even though I was explaining to the officer that my mom has a mental condition and she's not in her right state of mind, the police told me that since you are of age and because this is her house and because she doesn't want you here, you're going to have to leave. You're going to have to leave. So I had to gather my things, pack as much as I could in a gray bin, those little gray plastic tubs. And before I left the house, my mother said, I want my keys. So the officer made me give her the keys. And y'all, I wasn't even thinking of the fact that my daggone name was on the deed too, because technically it was my house too, because I was paying the mortgage, but I wasn't even thinking about that. I was young. I was in my early 20s. I was in graduate school. I was fresh out of college. So I'm going from house to house, floor to floor, living out of a bin for 8 weeks. And in graduate school and going to work every day. Nobody knew. Nobody knew what I was going through. With the exception of, the people whose floor I was sleeping on or whose couch I was sleeping on, except for them. Rotating, going from place to place. Until that conviction happened when I felt intuitively that something was wrong with my mother, and I was right. 8 weeks. And this reminds me of a line. I feel like I underlined it somewhere. Oh, yep. Here you go on page 60. The Chris Gardner story. Y'all know the story, Chris Gardner. What is it? What's the movie? Y'all know the movie. The Pursuit. Is it The Pursuit of Happiness? I think that's the name of the movie. the Chris Gardner movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. I think that's what it's called. How he was struggling, how he was sleeping on, well, he had a next level. He was taking care of a child and he was just sleeping in subways, sleeping in bathrooms. I couldn't even imagine. But he showed up with a persistent diligence to work every day. And what does it say on page 60? Nobody at work had any idea that this was going on. During that season, you guys, I was like 90 pounds. I was the smallest I had ever been. Graduate school, not having a place to live, going from place to place, working full time, and still trying to do my schoolwork and go to class. I was like this. Nobody knew. Nobody in my job knew. Nobody in my school knew. Persistent. I knew I had to finish. And I knew I had to ask God. So what I take away from my experiences, both through undergrad and graduate school, is that gift, I guess you could say, that most prized possession, I guess you could say, that was strengthened through those times. The persistence to keep going. The persistence to still decide. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough says that if it is an education that you desire, when you find it, apply it. When you find it, apply it. Amen. He says, when asked to list the keys to their success, millionaires ranked hard work first, followed by education. He says that granted, though more than 60% of Black millionaires hold advanced degrees, many others squeaked through school. Moreover, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough's research reveals that most Black millionaires did not graduate from either high school or college with top honors. Nearly 1/4 of his study failed to finish college at all. And the wealth-educated can act as foolish as anyone else when it comes to their personal finances. Come on. I think I just read over this because it didn't even hit me until I just reread it. And the wealth-educated can act as foolish as anyone else when it comes to their personal finances. Was that not me? Was that not me? Was that not me? Did I not graduate undergrad with a degree in accounting with honors, immediately go to graduate school, finish graduate school with the 3.9333 GPA with an MBA in financial management, go into the field of accounting, work all of these years as an accountant, but was foolish with my personal finances. Foolish. And finally, with regard to the limits of education, over drinks and idle chatter in the downtown Atlanta hotel, one respondent set the record straight by saying, "I've learned long ago," he shared, "that sooner or later, A students will one day work for B students, and C students will eventually hire B students, and D students, those supposedly slow learners who were continuously reprimanded for daydreaming in class. Well, they have buildings that have been erected and eroded and created in their name. So I'm sharing this with you because all of us may not have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs, doctorate degrees. We may not have those. And so granted, they talk a lot about education in here. Yes, they talk about having the degree and all of that. But don't think that that's a qualifier for you to be a millionaire, because it's not. It's not. Your millionaire status, your ownership and your acquisition of wealth is solely dependent on you. It's solely depending on you knowing what you want. It's solely depending on you understanding what your mission is in life. It's solely dependent upon you seeking after your passion. It's solely dependent on you having unwavering faith. It's solely depending on you asking the Lord for guidance. It's solely dependent on you putting the plans in place and executing them. Not a degree. Not even a certificate, for Christ's sakes. Not even a certificate. A professional license. You got to know, like you know, like you know, like you know, what you are destined to do, what you are destined to create, what you are destined to mission, meaning carry out. Moving down to is hard work the key. It's hard work the key. Queen Heart is in the building. Hey, Queen Heart, so good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome on into this room. I'm so glad that you are here. We also got Coach Sheena in the building. Hey, Coach Sheena, so good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome on into this room on tonight. Y'all are in the building. So glad that y'all are here. Amen. Hard work. The world admires the man or woman who never flinches from unexpected difficulties, who calmly, patiently, and courageously grapples with his or her fate, who dies if need be at his or her post. Hard work always commands respect. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough says that the challenge that all Black millionaires face is that their work is never done. Their work is never done. Their work is never done. So that means your work will never be done. So if you think about, and here's a reason why it will never be done, because it's tied to your mission. It's tied to your life calling, not the achievement of a specific number, not the achievement of assets, not the achievement of anything that may be monetary or tangible. It's the intangible thing. It's the mission. It's the purpose. It's the focus. It's the calling. And that you can never retire in. I'm just saying. Page 60, and then we'll close out. He says, I think this was Joe Dudley. Yes, Joe Dudley. Y'all know the Dudley person. Joe Dudley says that God and work have made him who he was. He said that you would do best to realize that wealth is the offspring of industry. The price you pay the price and it's yours. Pay the price and it's yours. He gave a couple of other examples. We already kind of talked about Chris Gardner, the story that he went through, how nobody knew what was going on. The powerful piece was that he went on to establish his own private equity fund that will invest solely in South Africa. I wonder what's the status of this, because it's been a while, so I wonder what's going on with that. That's powerful. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough says there are a few unlikely ways to attain your millions. You could win the lottery, you can inherit a windfall, or in the case of Stormy Wellington, you could sell hope. Prior to her 30th birthday, this down on her luck single mother of 2 small children owed thousands more than she possessed. Undeterred, Wellington put grit in place of her foreclosed home. Within 6 months, the former corporate account representative increased her earnings from $7,500 a month to more than $1 million per year, promoting a new slew of products manufactured by Artisy International, a Mexican-based direct sales company. So basically, he's saying that if we simply put in the work, if we simply put in the notion that the work that we do is enjoyable while we're pursuing whatever our own financial interest is, that is what's really going to keep us going and keep us driving towards whatever direction we choose. This was another piece that convicted me at the top of 61, and we're going to close out. Ideally, your work should represent opportunity, not an obligation. So ideally, your work should represent opportunity and not obligation. Salaried workers are likely to mourn the start of the new week while the wealthy embrace it. How many of us dread the start of the week? How many of us W-2 employees dread the start of the week? Reading this piece made me really challenge my thinking in terms of how I look at my work week. Like how I look at my work week. Yeah. How I look at my work week. And I think I've said this before on the channel. I want to be energized when I wake up. I don't want to dread having to log on to the computer. I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like I feel when I'm here on this live stream with you guys every day throughout my life. So this was a conviction for me to say, even in my salary days, how can I embrace the new work week like the millionaires do? Shall I say more? Divinity is in the building saying late but here. Hey, Divinity, so good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome on into this room. I'm so glad that you are here. You are here. Queen Heart says, made a lot of sense in the beginning. I misconstrued that reality was an indication of misalignment or a signal to change course. That's good observation, Queen Heart. Very good observation. All right. Coach Harut is saying hello to Divinity. Lisa H is saying hi to Divinity. And so is Coach Sheena saying hi to Divinity. We welcoming you all into this room, Divinity. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Q Scott says, now that new week comment was powerful. I really used to dread Mondays when I was in corp. Now I am, for the most part, popping up in the mornings, I'm assuming, and with some energy. So that's good. So some exceptions, but not many. That's good, Q Scott. Lisa Smile says, sometimes I dread certain clients. Is that bad? Lord, the Lord is still working with me. Lisa Smiles. I get it, Lisa Smiles. I feel you. Sometimes I dread working with some people too. But it could be an energy thing too. And sometimes you may have to be okay with releasing those clients too. Depending, I mean, I'm not saying let anybody go, but sometimes it could be an energetic thing. Like if you notice it, that they just have that constant bad energy, you got to find a way to protect your peace, right? Gotta find a way to protect your peace. Oh, in the AMs. Okay, now for the most part, I'm popping up in the AMs. Okay, got it, Q Scott. Some exceptions, but not many. That's good. Divinity is saying, hi, my sisters. Yes, we are family. All right. Okay, you all. I know it's late. We did good today. I want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight. I was not expecting anyone to be able to come on to the live tonight because I know I said that I wasn't going to go live, but then once I spent the time that I needed to take care of and do what I needed to do, I was like, oh, I ain't gonna let this day go by without having this word in. So I'm glad that y'all were up and that y'all tuned in. So tomorrow we're going to be reading. We're going to continue our readings, reading the next 10 pages. And so we'll be reading 61 through page 70. And we'll be back at the same time. If anything changes, I'll let y'all know. Thank y'all so much. I'm glad that you guys still were able to pop in. Queen Heart says it's a character building challenge ever so often. Yes, for sure. Definitely a character building challenge for sure. Most of them are okay, but some give me a run for my money. Hey, raise the price then, Lisa Smiles. Raise the price. Raise the price on them. It's like, no, I'm kidding. Because you too blessed to be stressed, okay? All right. Queen Hall says, good. God bless everyone. Good night. Queen Q Scott says, I'm glad I looked down at my phone at the light, or I might have missed you tonight. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely didn't announce it. I just came right on. I think I just announced when I said I wasn't going to go live, and then I just came right up here and got on. So thank y'all. All right, you're so welcome, Queen Lisa. Queen Lisa says, thank you, Queen Sophia. Lisa Smiles says, we appreciate you. We appreciate you too, Lisa Smiles. Let's go. Glow butter in the building. Oh, that just reminded me. Lisa Smiles, what are you creating? Lisa Smiles is creating that good old glow butter. So if you need, no, you don't need to, because you already got your ownership, because it's all on your website. So never mind. Lisa Smiles got products, y'all. She's producing. She got products. She got that glow butter. And I love the commercial that you did in your live stream today. I was like, yes, come on with the commercial. Let's go. Let's go with the commercial. All right. Coach Root says, good night, everyone. Peace and abundance to everyone. Coach Sheena says, thank you, Sophia. Sleep well, everybody. Thank you so much. Queen Heart says, I was ready to give a client their money back. Ironically, God used them to bless me in ways I didn't expect. Amen. Whew, that was a word for somebody. That was a word for somebody, Queen Heart. Thank you for sharing that. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful night. And I will see y'all tomorrow. And again, thank y'all so much for popping in here with me tonight. And I want to remind you, I think this thing done froze. All right. Okay. I'm trying to get this outro music for y'all. All right, here we go. I want to remind you guys that your financial prosperity awaits you, and so does your financial sanity. Y'all already know what I'm going to tell you to do, and that's what? Get to work. All right. Bye. Okay. All right, here we go.
The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia